We talk endlessly about comedians. We study satirists, roast kings, stand-up legends. We analyze why people laugh. We write entire dissertations about humor as a social lubricant. But there is this other group. The ones who make a joke at a funeral. The ones who laugh when everyone else goes quiet. Almost misunderstood. Frequently misread. Called inappropriate, cold, broken, or too much. And here is the part nobody ever says out loud. They are usually the most emotionally intelligent people in any room. We just never thought to look closer. They are the friend who texts you something absurd the night before your surgery. The coworker who cracks a joke right after the worst meeting of your life. The person who, in the middle of actual crisis, says something so darkly funny you laugh, so hard you forget to cry. Their psychology is probably the most misunderstood of anyone alive today. And once you understand what built that sense of humor, everything about how they survive the world will suddenly make complete, devastating sense. Picture this. It is 1994. You are 7 years old. Something heavy is happening in your house. Maybe it is illness. Maybe it is grief. Maybe it is just tension, so thick it has its own zip code. And you say something funny, not to be rude, just to breathe. A study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that children who grew up in high-stress or emotionally unpredictable households were significantly more likely to develop humor as a primary coping mechanism by age 10. The number was striking. Over 68% of them used laughter before they used words. And what does that teach the brain? That reality is survivable if you can make it absurd enough. That pain is just a punchline waiting to be written. That the fastest way to release pressure in a sealed room is to poke a tiny, ridiculous hole in it. Picture this. It is now 2001. You are 14. Someone you love gets a diagnosis, or leaves, or both. And instead of falling apart in the school hallway, you say something so darkly clever that your friend laughs until they cry. You file that moment away. It worked. It always works. And now watch what happens when that kid grows up. They walk into adulthood carrying a finely sharpened tool that most people do not even know exists. They turn trauma into content before therapy was invented. Welcome to the psychology of dark humor. This is why they never flinch first. In situations where others freeze, panic, or perform distress, people with dark humor go somewhere else entirely. They find the absurdity in the horror, not because they do not feel it, because they feel it so fully they had to build an emergency exit. Think about the emergency room nurse who makes a dry joke at the end of a 12-hour shift, or the hospice worker who laughs quietly with a patient about the ridiculous nature of paperwork in a dying process. These are not callous people. These are people who found the only door in a burning building. A study published in Cognitive Processing in 2017 by Austrian researcher Ulrike Willinger found that people who appreciate dark humor tend to score significantly higher on measures of verbal and nonverbal intelligence and lower on aggression and mood disturbance. So the person laughing at the apocalypse is statistically probably smarter than you. Enjoy that. They did not choose darkness for shock value. They chose it because light humor was never strong enough to hold the weight of what they were actually carrying. This is why they are deeply uncomfortable with fake positivity. Good vibes only is genuinely their villain origin story. They grew up in environments where things were not fine, and everyone pretended they were. So forced cheerfulness does not read as warmth to them. It reads as lying with a smiley face. Watch them in a meeting where someone gives a painfully optimistic quarterly report when the numbers are objectively terrible. They are the one in the back corner making a face that contains an entire editorial. They will not say it out loud, but they thought it fully and in vivid detail. Research published in the American Journal of Psychology noted that individuals with high irony comprehension are faster at detecting social incongruence, meaning they notice when what is being said does not match what is actually happening. They are essentially human lie detectors wrapped in a punchline. They process the gap between appearance and reality faster than most people even register there is a gap. That is not cynicism. That is pattern recognition that got really good really young. This is why their loyalty is almost unreasonable. Because underneath all the dark jokes and the deflection and the sarcasm is a person who decided a long time ago that honesty was the only thing actually worth anything. And they are loyal to people who can handle honesty without needing it decorated. They will not sugarcoat the problem when your business is failing. They will not tell you the haircut is fine when it is not. But they will stay. They will stay at 2 a.m. They will drive 4 hours without explaining why. They will show up so quietly you almost miss it. A study in the Journal of Adult Development found that individuals with irony and dark humor as dominant communication styles reported significantly deeper long-term friendships, with trust being cited as the foundational factor more than warmth or affirmation. Because when someone skips the performance and stays anyway, you believe them. Their love language is essentially, I will never lie to you, and I will make you laugh while everything burns, which is actually more romantic than most people deserve. This is why they struggle with being taken care of. The humor became armor before they were old enough to know they needed armor. And now someone trying to reach through it feels uncomfortable, exposing, almost rude. Like being handed an umbrella in the middle of a drought you got really good at surviving. Their partner tries to comfort them, and they make a joke. Their therapist says something insightful, and they deflect with a one-liner. Not because they do not want the comfort. Because something in the wiring says comfort requires vulnerability, and vulnerability is the exact thing the humor was built to avoid. Research published in Developmental Psychology found that early humor development as a coping response creates strong neural associations between emotional discomfort and comedic deflection, meaning it becomes automatic. The brain reroutes before the person even decides to. You did not choose the dodge. The dodge chose you at age 9. The armor is so well built they sometimes forget they are still wearing it indoors. This is why they are secretly incredible in a crisis. While others spiral, they flatten out. Their nervous system has been trained in actual chaos, so manufactured urgency does not register the same way. They are calm in the breakdown, annoyingly, disturbingly calm. Think about the friend everyone calls when something goes wrong. Not the one who will cry with you, but the one who will show up, assess, and say something so accurate and funny about the situation that the problem suddenly looks survivable. That friend is them. They have been practicing their whole life. A study in the Journal of Research in Personality found that high dark humor appreciation correlates strongly with emotional resilience and the capacity to reframe negative experiences, particularly under acute stress. So the most inappropriate person in the room is frequently also the most functional. Sit with that one. Here is what is fascinating though. The same person who makes death jokes at a dinner table will sit with a grieving stranger for 3 hours and say nothing. Just exist there, present, unafraid of the heaviness. Because they are not afraid of darkness. They just like to light a match in it, sometimes. When they become parents or mentors, they raise humans who are not fragile. Children who know how to laugh at difficulty without minimizing it. Who understand that the world is sharp and also ridiculous, and both things can be true at once. That is not a small inheritance. What they lost is the version of themselves that could ask for help without immediately framing it as a bit. The part that could just say, this is hard, without adding, which is hilarious given everything. They learn to perform resilience, so that sometimes they cannot locate the actual feeling underneath it. What makes them quietly remarkable is that they never stop paying attention. Every dark joke is evidence that they were present for something difficult and chose to find the human absurdity in it rather than be destroyed by it. That is not avoidance. That is a very specific kind of courage. They are the black and white photograph in a gallery of color prints. Same subject, same light, just processed differently. The contrast sharper. The shadows more visible, the truth a little harder to look away from. And black and white photographs do not get framed above the couch very often. But they are the ones people go back to, the ones still hanging in the mind long after the color ones have faded. Because they showed you something real, dressed it in a little irreverence, and trusted you to be able to take it. If this hit home for you, If you recognize yourself in the humor that showed up before the tears, in the joke that saved a room, in the person who laughs, because the alternative requires a really long explanation, this one was for you. Please subscribe, and if you want to support these deep dives, hit that join button to become a channel member. Because more people need to understand the ones who laugh in the dark.